You need to learn how to notice that you're up in evaluation mode and have tools for bringing yourself back down into your body. And you also need to let go of your preconceived notions of what it's supposed to look like and be able to like drop into more of that instinctual trust. Welcome back to the podcast, my friends. It is season 2 officially. I am so excited to kick things off. And today I want to talk about Valentine's Day pressure and 3 things that you are doing that are secretly sabotaging your sex life, especially when it comes to special occasion sex and especially when it comes to actually being in the bedroom. So like last year, we talked a lot about initiating, about the maybe zone, about just getting a yes to even go into the bedroom. And this year, where I want to start, if you think back to the Naked Sexy Fun Time cycle, is playtime, the playtime part and the transition part. So like we get to the bedroom and then what happens? Because I have a fuck ton of experience with this. And this is my kind of personal story. This is why I became a sex coach. And I'm sure many of you struggle here as well. And before I dive into all of that, I just want to remind you that I am planning a live workshop for Valentine's Day. So if you don't have plans yet, just do this. You don't need to spend $300 on a dinner out. You don't need to book a fancy hotel room and pray you get laid. You just press play, follow along, and have a fun time with me. It's going to be in the evening. There's going to be 2 times to choose from. So you can join me 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which will be 6 p.m. Pacific, or you can join me at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which would be 10:30 p.m. out in the East. So the idea is that regardless of which side of the North American coast that you live on, you can join me presumably after the children are in bed, or if they're on a movie. You can cozy up in your living room. You can cozy up in your bedroom. Don't worry if the kids walk in on you. All they're going to see is their parents loving, laughing, and having a good time. They will not be scarred for life. What are we going to do? Well, it's a 90-minute workshop. It's close on. Okay. So this is more like your pregame, where I want to get you from awkward silence and discomfort and not knowing how to give feedback to your partner, some of the things we're going to talk about today in the podcast, to just feeling like you can confidently connect for just $27. I want you to imagine grabbing a glass of wine if you drink, your favorite pencil crayons, and some massage oil for a fun little experience that's going to have you communicating with more ease, but exploring with more fun. And you'll understand more what I mean when I get into today's episode. Grab the link in the show notes to book your spot. I am so excited to see you there. So, what are some of these ways that we are silently sabotaging our sex life without realizing it? And in particular, how are we sabotaging our sex life when we get to the bedroom? So I want you to travel back in time with me a little bit because I'm going to tell you a story that kind of gives you some context and gives you some familiarity, right? So if you aren't familiar, the whole reason I got into this work was in my 20s, I was basically at war with my vagina, okay? Was constantly at the gynecologist with like yeast infections and stuff. I was dealing with painful intercourse to the point where I thought maybe I had vaginismus, which is like a medical condition where your vagina literally shuts down and says like, you shall not enter. And orgasm was this like elusive thing. I felt like I was King Arthur on the quest for the Holy Grail, cue Monty Python. Videos. Like sex just felt like this impossible, elusive thing, or like mildly dissatisfying. Like I was like, is this literally all there fucking is? Okay. And I think for a lot of you, especially if you have a body with a vulva, this may be your experience. Sex may have never touched the sky for you, touched the universe. And I remember sitting in this workshop, I was 28 years old, and I was just like, does this mythical earth-shattering, world-shaking orgasm like even fucking exist? Because I've never even come close to touching that. And this wise woman in her 60s in the workshop just like gently piped up, and I can't remember exactly how she put it, but she was just like, when I can melt into it, like absolutely it does exist. And that put me on a quest to like find it. And I'm still searching for the best of the best, but I have come a long way. So, for many of you with vulvas, this has been your pervasive experience like me. You have never really had an earth shattering orgasm or an orgasm that really left you like, oh my God, I can barely walk afterwards. Or you used to be able to access that. And then you had babies, or now you're going through perimenopause, or you got a concussion, or like had some kind of medical diagnosis that happened, or like my Hashimoto's. And what used to be accessible to you isn't accessible to you anymore. And that's a frustrating place to be because what ends up happening is we get into the bedroom, and I'm like speaking from my experience here and my perspective. And like, if you're a male partner that's listening or a person with a penis, right? Like, your partner shows up. She already has the narrative going that it's like not going to work, that it's taking too long. She's in her head, not in her body. She rushes you through, maybe like doesn't let you do oral or lets you do it for like 3 seconds before she just like gets you to stick her penis in you and like move on, right? And the whole experience feels like there's a disconnection there. It's not what we imagine in this just like animal, feral, like melted together intimacy. It's distant, it's awkward. And on the other side, our men or our partners are going like, does she like, basically everyone's all in their head. He's in his head going, does she like this? Should I slow down? Should I go faster? Should I stop? Is she enjoying this? I don't know. And she's going, when can this be over? Why am I taking so long? Fuck, my vagina is so broken. Why is that itchy now? Why does that hurt now? Whatever it is. And the bottom line is we don't have two people lost in the experience. We have two people stuck in their heads. And then you can guess what happens. We have a mediocre experience. We roll over awkwardly and barely talk about it. And then we don't crave a next time. So if we're going to fix this cycle, we need to fix the intimacy part, like the playtime, so that we crave a next time. And there's 3 traps that you're falling into that are creating this dynamic, okay? So, what is the first trap? The first trap is performance versus pleasure. So, right, I want you to think about what your visual reference is for a sexual encounter. It's either porn, which is like rub a clit for 2 seconds and it does amazing things, or walk into a room and like pull my panties down because I'm hot and horny. Or it's romance movies where like I look at you across the room and there's erotic tension and we make out and slam each other against the wall, and then we cut to everybody like worn out and exhausted and panting on the floor. And so this is like the mental framework that we have for what sex is supposed to look like or be. And when we're focused on performance, which we all fucking are, okay, let's just admit it, that's where we get stuck in our head, because you can't be lost in the moment and evaluating the moment at the same time, right? I have a whole episode on this called spectatoring, in particular for women. This is a term that somebody coined, I think in the 80s, but I have the full details in that episode. This idea that like spectatoring is like you not being in your body during sex. It's you in the corner with a clipboard judging yourself during sex. And so that might be like, why is my penis not getting hard? Why is my penis not staying hard? Am I going to come too quickly? Can I sustain this and keep going long enough? It could look like I'm not ready, so I will not be ready. Oh my God, is he looking at my belly? Oh my God, I'm going to fart. Like whatever it is, we are stuck in our head in an inner narrative about how we want it to be, or worried about how it's going to go. And so then we can't be melted into the moment. And if you want sex that's actually worth craving, you need to be melted into the moment. You need to learn how to notice that you're up in evaluation mode and have tools for bringing yourself back down into your body. And you also need to let go of your preconceived notions of what it's supposed to look like and be able to like drop into more of that instinctual trust. So that's trap number 1. If you're stuck in the corner with a performance checklist, you're not having a great time. You already, like, it's an automatic fail. Okay. Mistake number 2 is what I call the 3-minute myth. And I am extremely guilty of this, even just a couple of weeks ago, even as a sex coach, even as someone who's been studying this and actively working on it for like 15 plus years, my friends. Okay. So we start doing the do, my partner goes down on me, and I instantly, fucking instantly, my brain is like, you're not wet. You're not feeling any tinglies. Clearly, you're not into this. Clearly, this is not going to work. You should just give up now. Now, there's a reason your brain does this. Emily Nagoski talks about this in her book, Come As You Are, but you have a monitor in your head that is constantly measuring like effort to impact, essentially. So my body, this monitor is going, we're putting in a lot of effort, which is hilarious because I'm not at that point. And the result is not coming quickly enough. And therefore, your monitor kicks in and she goes into what I call fuck it mode, where she's like, that's it. We're out. Shut it down. Over. Cut. End scene. And that monitor is a little bit tricky because in this particular case, I'm getting tripped up for two reasons. Because of myth number one and because of my performance expectations, my little monitor has unrealistic expectations about what should be happening. So she's not measuring against a real baseline. Therefore, she's quite trigger happy. Okay. The other thing is that it's not based in any real effort. Like at this point, I'm just laying back and the goal is for me to relax. It's literally been 30 seconds if I were to take a timer out. The reality is, and the truth is, that in particular, if we're talking about female bodies, bodies with vulvas, we actually have more erectile tissue than a penis. So it takes longer for it to fill up and fully engorge and fully get all puffy. And a vulva that's been loved up for 20 minutes actually has a different color, shape, and like puffiness than a vulva that's been stimulated for like 30 seconds. So when I do that to myself, I'm essentially trying to take the cake out of the oven before it's cooked. And then it comes out gooey and gross. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't want that. Well, like, no fucking shit. I'm sassy today. It's not cooked. And the same goes with your orgasm, okay? If you don't allow your oven or your cake to cook, of course it's gonna taste like shit. But your monitor has decided within 30 seconds that this is not worth the effort. And then you create a self-fulfilling prophecy where if you take the cake out of the oven early every single time and you eat shitty, gross, gooey cake every single time, the next time you go to do it, your monitor already is expecting shitty, gooey cake. So we have to convince her that this time we're going to wait a little longer and see how the cake tastes. Okay. This is where you can see, and this is why I work with people in the Naked Fun Comeback, my signature program, around mindset stuff, because our brains will trick us. So mistake number two here, this 3-minute myth, is like you cannot expect your body to fully bake the cake in 2 seconds. You need time to drop in to the moment, and your actual physical body needs time to get fully aroused. I'll drop another fact for you. Your vagina grows by 200%. It's called tenting. And essentially, you want to imagine your vagina is like a tube. It's a sock. And when it's unaroused, it's like a collapsed flat sock on the floor. And as you get aroused, it basically like plumps itself up and opens to get ready for a penis to go inside. If you try to like pop that tent up in a second, she ain't ready. We need to give her a hot minute. So mistake number two here is that you don't actually know how your body works. And I'm not going to blame you for that because I bet you no one explained tenting to you in high school sex ed. I bet you no one showed you the 11 erogenous zones in the vagina and those that are in the penis. I bet you no one talked to you about how to pleasure a body and about the nervous system pathways and like what they do for orgasm. Okay. You may have read some things as an adult, but probably very little. You likely don't have a big painting of a vulva in your office either, right? So we don't need to blame ourselves. But if we want to interrupt this pattern, if we want to have sex that's actually worth coming back for, we need to learn how our bodies work. And this is doubly true if we're in the scenario where our bodies have changed since babies or they're changing through perimenopause, okay, you can keep hating on your body and asking her why the heck she won't cooperate with you anymore. Or you can go on a mission to become best friends with her and understand what she needs. And as a partner, you can go on a mission with your vulva owning partner to understand what they need. And when we do that, we unlock the keys to what I call like the pleasure map, right? We go find the pleasure treasure. We have better sex. We have sex more frequently because the sex we're having is actually yummy. So that is mistake number 2, the 3-minute myth. Mistake number 3 is the mind reader trap. And this goes both ways. We just expect our partner to be able to read our mind. And I will say part of this is informed by movies. No, everyone wordlessly just gets their rocks off in movies. There's no awkward moments. There's no, oh, hey, that isn't quite working for me. Everyone just like magically knows which button to touch. And especially when we talk about romance movies and romance novels, there can be this expectation, especially from women, I find, on men that like he's just supposed to magically know how to touch you. And nobody's born a 5-star lover, I'm sure. I don't need to tell you that. Nobody's born a 5-star lover. Nobody's born a 5-star Red Seal chef either. We need practice, but we also need practice with feedback. And if there's one thing I can try to convince you of here today in terms of discouraging mind reading, it's that like your partner literally does not have the same eyeballs as you, which means they don't see and perceive the world in the same way. They don't have the same skin as you, the same ears as you. They don't have the same senses as you. So they have no idea how their fingers, their tongue, their whatever feels on your body unless you give them feedback, unless you give them information about what that sensation experience is like for you. But it gets really hard. We are terrified of hurting our partner's feelings. We are terrified of making our partner feel like they don't know what they're doing. And this goes likewise. Like if you're a dude and your partner's like not quite touching your penis in the right way, it can feel hard because of myth number 1, because of performance, where we all come in trying to pretend we're perfect at this because we have the pressure to be perfect at it. The giving feedback feels so high stakes and so high risk. But lying there and praying for your partner to go just slightly to the left is not going to get you what you want. You can't telepathically communicate with your partner. And the quickest way to actually get what you want in the bedroom is for both of you to ditch the performance trap, drop the egos, get playful, take a perspective of experimentation where we're going to fail on purpose to learn some things, get humble, and communicate with each other. Easier said than done, I know, but that's why you're going to come to my workshop on Valentine's Day, and I'm going to give you my 5 steps for sexual communication so that you can do it with ease and without hurting anyone's feelings. So these, my friends, are 3 of the biggest myths that really get in the way when we're actually in the bedroom. If we focus on performance and perfection rather than play and experimentation, we are always going to be stuck in our head and anxious rather than actually enjoying the moment. If we rush things because of that pressure for performance and perfection, we're missing the mark and we're missing all the juicy sensations that can come. I can tell you after having done this work for a long time now that an orgasm after 20 minutes or more of stimulation of my body is a very different experience than an orgasm after 3 minutes and me rushing my partner inside me because I wanted to get it over with. And the last piece is the communication piece. When we get really good at jokingly, lovingly, playfully sharing feedback with our partner about what's working and what's not working, we build a new manual for our body for today, and we can get to a point where communication doesn't have to be so overt, right? So I want you to think of communication in like phases, where like when you're in a new relationship with someone you don't know at all, there should be a lot of communication. What do you like? What do you want? What are your interests? What are your fantasies, etc.? And then we can get into a nice pattern or rhythm where we can start to read each other really well, and that feels good. But then babies come along, or perimenopause, or something else that changes the game. And instead of amping up the communication again to like go into learning mode, we just keep trying what used to work and running into walls and running into walls and running into walls. So, if any of this sounds like you, if you are a person who gets stuck in their head during intimacy, who feels like they take too long, who feels kind of maybe even betrayed a little bit by their body right now, let down because something that used to work really easily is not working so easily anymore, then I want you to come to the Valentine's Day workshop. You're going to get what you need to reconnect with your body, to translate your experience to your partner, and find more satisfaction between the sheets. And if you're on the opposite side of this coin and you're the partner who doesn't know how to help anymore, you're the partner who can see the discomfort in your partner and the shutdown, but you don't know whether to power through, whether to stop and lay back. You want more intimacy. You're afraid of this cycle that, like, every time you have a not so great encounter, it's just going to mean less and less sex. Then I want you to come as well, because this is where you're going to learn your part of the equation in terms of holding space for your partner to like have that monitor freak out and come back to you and to the experience. You're going to leave with new tools for experimenting with that body and going on a little bit of a treasure hunt together, and with a new mindset to enter this next season or phase of your sex life with a whole new approach, which guarantees more play, more ease, and more frequent intimacy. If that feels like you, if you have questions, just DM me over on Instagram. A couple of like logistical things I'll mention now, and I'll be kind of talking about these a little bit more as we lead up to the event. So you're going to join me live on Valentine's night, either at 8 o'clock Eastern time or at 8:30 Pacific time. When you join me live, your cameras will be off, your mics will be off. You can change your name if you want to. And I'm only filming me and my screen. So you are not on the replay, just me and the screen. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is what I call my like vibe setter process, where we're just you're going to get to steal some of my favorite tools for getting outside of your busy parent mode and like landed in the moment. Then we're going to do some color by number anatomy, and you're going to get the sex ed class that you should have gotten in grade 10, but it's like actually going to be fun. I'm thinking of the like Ferris Bueller teacher right now. And then we're going to trade mini hand or foot massages as a way to practice the 5 steps of sexual communication. So nothing naked, nothing sexy. This is on purpose, okay? This is on purpose because if you haven't had sex very frequently with your partner lately, or your most recent encounters have been mediocre and everyone's feeling a little gun shy, I want this to feel super accessible. And clothes on, low key, is what's going to make the door open for your partner who's feeling a bit shut down. Okay, we just want to open it a crack, and this is a fun, lighthearted way to do that. That's entirely the goal. If you have been having sex regularly and you want to make it better and this feels easy peasy for you, great. Hopefully the night will send a lovely vibe for you. And if you want to continue the evening off camera when we've shut down and take what you've learned and explore it that night, awesome. And if you don't continue that evening, you have everything you need for the next time that you have a date, whether it's scheduled tomorrow or whether it's going to be whenever it happens. So everything you learn in this workshop has nothing to do with like the frequency of the sex that you're having right now. You could even come alone if your partner flat out refuses, and you could learn what I teach, and then you can just implement it next time you make love. And what I want you to think about there is, if the sex that you're having falls into this mediocre, frustrated category for everybody, Do you want to just wing it next time you get a like, maybe we can, or next time your partner is willing to throw you a bone? Or do you want to actually have something new to offer that's not like, let's try anal or here's a toy or like shutdown worthy, right? Nothing I'm offering today is going to feel, it's all new and novel, but it's not push your buttons new and novel. Okay. So that's my pitch. I hope you'll join us. I hope you will send this episode to a friend. At the very least, just come join me for Valentine's Day and have a super easy, laid back, giggle fest of a time together. Get a little dorky together. I'll bring my puppets so that you can see them. I wish I had them here with me today. And just find me over on Instagram if you have any questions about the process or if you're nervous about anything. Otherwise, head to the link in the show notes. It's only $27. I got a ton of juicy bonuses for you, and I will see you on the 14th. Bye now.